From housing commission to homeowner. This is SugarMamma's Fireplay and an episode you are not going to want to miss. Welcome back to SugarMamma's Fireplay. I am your host, financial planner Canna Campbell, and today's episode is all about resilience, vision, and transformation in rewriting your own financial story. You're going to hear from Jessie, who's in the studio with me right now. And Jessie is a young woman who grew up in housing commission and went on to save $73,000 in order to buy her first home with absolutely no help or any inheritance. If you've ever felt like your past might be holding you back, this is the perfect episode for you. And it's going to remind you that you have so much power, choice, and control within your hands right now. So grab a piece of paper and a pen, take some notes, or just sit back and listen to Jessie's story and her incredibly inspiring words of wisdom. Jessie, good morning. How are you today?
Good, thank you.
Now, you've driven all the way down from Bathurst, or sorry, down, I should say up or across from Bathurst.
Kind of across.
Across, yeah. And how have you been?
Yeah, good. Very stressful. I've got my partner's over in Europe at the moment.
Oh,
so
lucky him.
Yes, so he's been away the entire time this whole process has been going on. So
Wow.
yeah, so it's kind of left me in a position where I've got to deal with everything, but that's okay because we've been in contact and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look, from reading about you and your story, you are so fine. You've got everything covered and you're a very strong, resilient young person. So
thank you.
for the listeners who haven't heard about your story and who you are, can you go back to the beginning and share a little bit about your background and how you've become a homeowner, like growing up in poverty and housing commission and a lot of adversity against you?
So I think going all the way back, growing up, I didn't really know that there was an option of buying a house. I didn't know the difference between renting, between housing commission, between anything really. And then as I got older, I learned about different things and saw that I can make something out of myself. And I met my partner back in 2020, and since then we have been through it all. He's been there with me the entire way, and I think I didn't really grasp the concept of owning a home until he mentioned it. And we would talk about how paying off someone else's rent is paying off their mortgage. Like paying a rent is paying off someone else's mortgage. So it was a bit different and a bit of a different way to think about it, and I started thinking more and more differently about.
So you slowly transitioned into the thought of actually being a homeowner or even a landlord.
Yes.
Versus just simply, funding their investments.
Yes.
Yeah. Can we talk about growing up in housing commission and, for you right now, Jessie, and for anyone else listening right now, please know that you are safe. This is all about inspiring people, giving practical solutions and supporting people and giving them the faith and confidence to change their future and to step up and, and to obviously educate themselves along the way.
Yeah.
But I'd love to hear from you. How did your childhood experiences shape your own views on money, security, and financial success?
I think the main thing was obviously we grew up and we were living week to week, paycheck to paycheck, and seeing everyone else at school coming to school with new shoes and new bags and all of that sort of thing really put a damper on the way I saw my life going.
That would have been really hard.
Yeah, it was eventually. And do not get me wrong, I don't regret in any way growing up the way that I did. It's made me extremely grateful on how the way I view things now.
I love that attitude, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, no, I wasn't sent a lump sum of money or had any form of assistance with anything. So I think growing up with that hardship was very difficult to start off with. And then as I grew older, I got a job when I was 14. I've never not had a job since then.
Wow, you've got a great work ethic.
Yes, I would like to think so. But yeah, no, I've held down a job since I was 14, so having my own money really helped. I struggled for a little while and followed in their footsteps for a little bit and was just living week to week because I wasn't on very much. I was at KFC for 3 years. But yeah, no, I think growing up in a housing commission house truly made me realise how grateful I am to be living how I am now.
At what point did you realise that you wanted to have a very different life and sense of financial stability?
I think I fully realised in year 12. I realised I was going out into the real world. I'm not going to have a school to rely on. I'm not going to have that consistent routine anymore. And I definitely fully realised at year 12. And I went on to start saving. And then I had a lot of struggles with work and staying consistent with work. I was always a casual, so I wasn't able to find full-time very often.
That would have been really hard from a budgeting point of view with this inconsistent income.
Yes.
Because, expenses are also inconsistent. No 2 months are the same when it comes to living expenses. So to juggle that would have been an additional challenge on the fact that you were so young and didn't necessarily have that, I guess, financial education instilled in you by people around you.
Yeah, of course. And I think that's where my partner mainly comes into it, is he helped me to save and to start learning to properly save. I hit last year when I got my tax return back. I got quite a bit of money back from my tax return because my work was overtaxing me. And I put $5,000 straight into my savings.
Oh, that would have felt so good.
It was really good.
Okay, you and your partner managed to save $73,000, which is an incredible feat, especially with the rising cost of living. What were some of the core strategies and things that you actually did that helped you actually get to that goal so quickly?
So I think the main portion of it, so obviously I'm not going to sit there and say I would love to say I sit there and saved exactly half of that, but my partner saved $50,000 and I had 23.
Still, that's amazing, and teamwork makes the dream work. So don't ever downplay your own efforts and support in this.
No, and so he was saving consistently for 4 years. So we've been together for 5 years and 2 months. So for the past 4 years, he was an apprentice bricklayer and he saved quite a bit of money and was a consistent saver. Whereas I was inconsistent. I was constantly taking money out of my savings, putting it back into my savings. And when I got that tax return back last year, I was like, this is it. I've got to knuckle down and fully commit to saving this money. And as I started watching it grow and I saw it hit 10K, I was extremely proud of myself. I never wanted to see it go down.
You're hooked.
Yes. It was like a rush. I definitely loved seeing the money grow in my account. And yeah, I think I saved, including the $5,000 from the tax return, I saved $20,000 in less than 12 months.
That is unbelievable.
Thank you.
And you're paying rent,
No. So the fortunate thing is that we live with my partner's parents currently.
Okay.
So we had the privilege of staying there rent-free.
I say to people, if you're in a fortunate position where you can live at home, live at home for as long as you possibly can, but save your little heart out for as long as you can. And I lived at home until I did the same thing. I lived at home until I saved up my deposit, and my parents were strict with me. Yeah. I wasn't living at home to milk them and live this extravagant lifestyle. I was, I had to show that I was living at home so I could save money. And this was all for something for my financial future and stability. So they let me keep living with them. Yes. What would you say are some of the key setbacks or challenges that you found as you were, saving up for your first home? And how did you, obviously you hit that 10K mark and that was a huge catalyst for you to go, right, okay, this is serious now. Look what I've managed to save, and obviously go on to save that, up to $20,000. How did you push through those challenging times, and what do they look like? And, if you did have a setback, how did you bounce back? Sorry, I've just realized I've just given you like 3 questions in
That's
one.
okay. So I think the main thing was like, obviously we had a lot of arguments. We had a lot of arguments about me needing to save, me needing to get a full-time job to have permanent income. We had a lot of arguments surrounding money and surrounding how much we're going to fully need. We had setbacks with the broker. So we went and saw a broker. He was amazing. Although when we went to see the broker, there was my work. It set me back multiple times. So I would stay in a job for 6 months and try to gain full time. They wouldn't give me full time. So I had to,
so hard.
yeah.
That is, you can swear on this show. It's fine because I swear all the time off the show and on the show. But that is so messed up. Like, I mean, that's so unfortunate and that's so unfair. And getting so close, being so reliable, trustworthy, building up credibility with an employer, hoping that they're going to put you on a full-time role.
Yeah.
And then they say no, and so you're back to square one again almost.
Yes.
Because the bank aren't going to put your name and include you in the serviceability of a home. So it really does actually impact your ability. It's such a handicap, in those situations.
Definitely.
That is a massive hurdle and challenge to overcome.
Yeah.
So did you just eventually went back to square one, tried all over again?
So we did that a couple of times. So I think we first saw the broker mid last year. We got told, look, you're going to need to go full time, because I wasn't 6 months at my job yet. And I was like, that's okay, because every time I'd hit 6 months, even though I still could have gone to the bank and gone, here's 6 months worth of my pay slips.
Yeah.
I'm a casual. I was worried that my income was not going to stay permanent and it wasn't going to stay consistent. My shifts weren't going to be consistent. And that we had that battle for ages. So I ended up applying for a different job, got the job, ended up quitting my other job, and then trying to go full-time with that job, had the hurdle again and had to do it all again. And then I found a job at the end of last year. I got a call back and said, look, we can see you in January of this year for an interview. And after a month and a half of being casual, they put me on full-time.
That must have been such an amazing sense of relief, thinking finally, I can, I have the stability of a full-time job, but also I can go back to the bank and go, you know what, I've got this cash flow. It's coming in every fortnight or month, whatever you're being paid. It must have been, your partner must have been so relieved as well.
He was very relieved, although we had one other setback after I finally got my full-time position. He went and quit his job of 4 years.
Oh, no.
He did have a job lined up, and that job stuffed him around for a week or two, and he finally went full-time there. So I think once he quit his job, I was quite upset. That was like our biggest setback, because I had been the one that was setting us back this whole time.
Yeah.
And for him to turn around and quit his job, it wasn't what I was expecting, but he needed a new change of pace. So,
but I have to commend you for seeing a mortgage broker, because you were then so well informed by the mortgage broker about the impact of, changing jobs, having probation periods, being a casual employee on a loan application. It's so great that they kept you informed and in the loop of, changes in requirements, legislation, the likelihood of your application, the interest rate that you're potentially going to pay. Like, it's so good that you had that foresight to go, right, we're going to get advice so that when we're ready to buy, we've got all our ducks lined up. So I think that's amazing.
yeah.
Now, you purchased your first home in Bathurst, and I'm very familiar with Bathurst. What made you choose a regional area, and what tips would you give someone who's thinking of buying in a regional area?
I think the reason I bought out there is because I've lived there my whole life. I plan to stay there probably for the rest of my life, as much as I would love to move somewhere near the beach. My partner is very family orientated, and his family is there, and he's lived there his whole life.
Yeah.
So I think we both have just agreed to stay there, but we may be moving in the future. I have a career that I want to try and work towards. So I think that might take me elsewhere depending on what happens. But I think for anyone trying to buy a home in regional New South Wales, I think it's a lot easier to do than to buy over here.
Yeah.
The median house prices down in Bathurst are far less expensive than up here.
It's a stepping stone for some, and it is to get your foot in the door and on the property ladder, and that could also end up being potentially an investment property for you further down the track if you do decide to move elsewhere.
Yes.
Now, there is a common myth that home ownership is only possible through parents, and inheritances and winning the lottery. You obviously completely debunk that myth in its entirety. So what would you say to other young people who are on that path where they're like, I'm never going to inherit money. My parents aren't in a position to help me and I don't buy lottery tickets. Like, what would you say to others about that myth?
I think that the myth it's not true. So you can definitely buy your first house. You can definitely save enough money without have that gift of money from your parents. And I definitely think having a strong mindset and disciplinary around saving is your key to doing it. And you can put anything, you can do anything you put your mind to. And I think that's really the main thing is having such a strong mindset and continually saving, working towards those goals and going and seeking help from someone. As much as we didn't really use any help, we did have our parents there on both sides to sit there and say to us, look, you need to start doing it. You need to keep going. And even when the times got tough, they were always there to tell us you need to keep going. Talk to a friend, talk to anyone.
Don't give up. Keep your eye on the prize.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, can we move on to the practical side of actually how you save money? Were there any tools? Were there any resources? Did you read any books, listen to particular podcasts, use budgeting apps? How did you know or figure out or find your way to save up all this money?
So I think the main way I learned how to save was through my partner. Mm-hmm. He was a great saver. He never touched his bank account. If he did, he would put it back in.
Very responsible and self-controlled.
Yes, very much self-controlled. And I think I learned most of my strategies from him. And then when we were getting to the point where we were saving up that bit further, I started to try and budget. So I would write down everything that I needed for that week or fortnight. I was getting paid fortnightly at the time. I would write down everything that I needed, what budget I was going to set for myself. And I stuck to that for a little while. Mm-hmm. But I tend to hop ship and go and do something different. So I did download one of these budgeting apps on my phone. I think I downloaded 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. And I was using one from time to time and then I'd forget about it when I got paid and there was just no consistency with anything. And then when we finally went and saw that broker, he really put it in my head that you need to do this. And he gave us those steps that we needed to take, get a full-time job. When you're getting that full-time job, save a consistent amount each week. Tell yourself, even if you, because I was saving about $1,000 a fortnight.
That's incredible.
Yes. It was very crazy. And it's kind of unrealistic for a lot of people because a lot of people aren't in the position that I'm in.
But that's true. And you shouldn't downplay what you've achieved, because you were obviously able to live with parents. But there are a lot of people out there who are living with parents and just spending every single cent. And it's not so much the amount, it's also the consistency and the power of that consistency over the long run, how quickly that can build up.
Yes.
And creating those financial habits of, $100 a week or $100 a month, whatever it may be, just getting started and sticking to it is the most important part of all. So, it's quite amazing what you've done. And you've done this at a very young, precious age. You're 23?
21.
21! Oh my gosh, you're a 21-year-old. And I think about myself as a 21-year-old. I was like you. I was saving really, really hard. And I swear I had my tooth fairy money in my deposit when I finally purchase something, and I think I saved for 6 years.
Yeah, wow.
But that was how dedicated I was.
Yeah.
You know, I was so inspired. I was so motivated. Yes, I had setbacks. Yes, you know, I'd have times where I'd lose motivation and get distracted, but I'd always come back to it and go, no, actually, I really do want this. And this is important for me to be able to be independent and have something of my own and feel proud. And yeah, so all right, I'll come. So going at you, with this savings and budgeting, you've said obviously that was your, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like it was a bit of a weakness when it came to this journey. It was something you had to build upon and strengthen. Do things like automating your savings, did that really help?
Yeah, it definitely did.
So you'd have like that $500 a week or $1,000 a fortnight come out as an automatic savings plan, or would you manually transfer money across?
No, so I would manually transfer money across.
Did you find that easy because it made you check your account and see it grow, and it was that dopamine hit of
Yes.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to be said to that as well, because it also just forces you to really look at your bank account and catch any wastage or any sort of naughty habits that are creeping back in.
Yeah.
And what about paying for things? Like, did you do things like pay for things in cash, or did you do any sort of special little challenges for yourself, like where you wouldn't try and spend money for a weekend? Like, you know, how did you learn to say no and be okay with that? Because I remember watching all my friends go to Europe when I was saving up for my deposit, and it was so depressing. Yeah. But like, it was like, so how did you feel comfortable with saying no and going without?
I think really having that mindset, like you just need to push yourself to those limits. Like I was never really told no. It's kind of a little bit on the spoiler side. I'm an only daughter to my mum. So I was definitely had that little bit of an upper hand with my brothers. But yeah, no. Sorry, can you say the question again?
Of course.
For me?
So how did you deal with how do you deal with sacrifices and having to say no and going without?
So definitely seeing all of my friends go out and go drinking every weekend or go out to birthday parties and stuff like that, it was hard to see, and it was the fear of missing out really, really did suck. Yeah, but I think the more I said no, the more I realised how much of a homebody I was. I really like being at home. Yeah.
That's so interesting. I'm very much a homebody as well. Yeah. So I can really relate to that. All right. You grew up in housing commission. So, you know, your parents never owned the home. How has becoming a proud homeowner changed the way you reflect upon your situation and see what you are capable of for your financial future?
I think seeing myself change so drastically since finishing high school. I finished high school 3 years ago, and since then the feeling of buying a house was amazing. It was something that I would highly want everyone to experience in their life. And looking back at what I went through as a child to now is absolutely incredible. That little girl would be so extremely proud of me, it wouldn't be funny. Yeah, having those like difficulties definitely helped shape who I am.
Yeah.
Like I am a very empathetic person. I would like to think I'm a very empathetic person. I'm very caring. So looking at other people in that situation now compared to where I am, I try my best to help them in any way that I can, even if that is literally just telling them to not buy that piece of, like, don't buy that piece of chocolate. Like, you don't need that piece of chocolate. If I can help my friends, like, do the best that they can, because I know I have 2 friends currently that are trying to buy their first home, and they're constantly coming to me going, how did you deal with this, this and this? And I'm going on a tangent.
No, you're not at all. Yeah, not at all.
And yeah, them coming to me and saying, like, how did you do this? And most of my answer was, go and see a broker.
Yeah.
They are the most, like,
a good
amazing
broker.
Yeah, a good broker.
And an experienced broker as well.
Yes.
It's so important. All right. Now that you're a homeowner, like, what's next for you and your partner? Like, are you going to just pay this off and, live a mortgage-free life, or are you going to, look at maybe investing, or are you going to look at, what does the future hold for you? Because you've ticked this incredible box very, very early in life. Like most people these days buy a property in their like mid-30s if they're lucky. Like you're like 15 years ahead of everyone else.
It's crazy to think about. I think what's really next is just knuckling down over the next couple of years and trying to knock some of that mortgage down. And I think depending on where my career takes me, if for whatever reason I have to move out of town and we have enough equity in that house, I'm not sure if we would sell it and try and buy a new house where we were moving to, or if we would keep it and rent it out and then it become an investment property. So my partner's very into stocks and stuff like that. Well, not very into, but into stocks. And I would say that he would be more of the financial person in this situation.
Driving this.
He would have probably been the better person to get on here. He's very good with his words, and he very much knows what he's doing. And I think financially, he definitely will be my role model. Like whatever he chooses to do, I will probably follow in his footsteps. If he wants to put $500 in a stock, go for it. Like if that's what you want to do. But right now, just saving.
It's really quite amazing, like what you've done and how strong you've been. And, a lot of people fall into the trap thinking, well, I grew up in poverty. That's my destiny. I'll be the same. But you've intentionally gone out and done something very different. And can you, as we get towards the end of this episode, can you just share with me what that moment felt like when you signed, the papers for your own home?
I think it was very life-changing to see how much of an effort it all took. It took so much for me to fully come out of where I was.
Yeah.
Coming out of school, I was very nervous. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew I had my heart set on going to uni and working, and that's what I did for ages, and I was set on saving. And when I finally signed the papers for the house, I think it was just such an overwhelming feeling of joy knowing that we had finally bought something that we worked so hard for.
Well, you deserve all of that success and everything else that's coming to you in your future. And, as I listen to what you say and your mindset and, even just your own personal growth, and not to undermine or patronize, but you can see that you're on this incredible path where because you're so open and you're so curious and you're obviously so inspired, you have an amazing future ahead of you with even more greater financial success and independence for both you and your partner. And, it's so great that you've got his level of financial curiosity, but also his growing financial knowledge and education to be able to lean on and work together as a team where you both inspire and support each other and go from strength to strength. So, I just think it's so beautiful, your story, and I think it's so important for people to hear this and to think, well, the average person buys a property this age, therefore I won't be able to do that until I reach that age. Stuff that. No, you've gone out and done it. You've done it now, and you've done it in a way that works for you and works for your partner. And I mean, I just think you're amazing.
Thank you.
For anyone that's listening to this episode and they are starting from scratch and, they're in their 20s, for example, and they've grown up with, say, financial trauma or financial hardship, what would you say to that person listening to this episode right now to inspire them to go after their goals and dreams and to create a different life that has actually got financial stability and harmony there for them?
That they can break the cycle. Yes. It's not something that is not going to happen. You can do it. And your mindset is everything. As much as people, you look at people who are years older than you or years younger than you and they're moving at a different pace at life, and you kind of just need to take a step back and tell yourself that it's not going to be like that forever.
Mm.
You're going to move forward and like just try your best to like save.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And yeah, move with intention, but pay attention.
Yes.
You know, don't get distracted. Daydreaming is okay, but come back to reality and obviously put the physical work and, as you said, work on that mindset. All the hard work is so worth it, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. It all pays off, especially if you're one of the first people in your family to break that cycle. Breaking that cycle is someone who was kind of the first person in the family to break that cycle is such a great feeling. And once you've accomplished it, nothing can hold you back from there.
Oh, your mum must be so proud.
She was crying when I told her about this.
Oh.
Yeah, no, she was very, very happy.
Oh, well, look, Jessie's story is an incredible reminder that we don't have to repeat the past, and we can learn from it, we can grow beyond it, and we can actually build something that is very new, much healthier, and far more harmonious. Now, if this episode inspired you, can you please go and share it with someone who needs to hear Jessie's story, Jessie's words, Jessie's incredible victory. And in the meantime, as always, please keep that financial fire burning bright. Believe in yourself. Keep putting one foot in front of the other and keep your head up and chin up and shoulders back as you power on through with your own financial journey. Thank you everyone for listening. This is SugarMamma's Fireplay.